We are recording today's event, so all of this will be available later on. We know checklists are common this time of year, but we're not talking about what should and we'll be talking about what should and should not be on your PPM checklist. In the spirit of the holidays, and let's face it, the end of the year, we are hearing a lot about what software people are looking to invest in the new year and what will have an impact for the PMO. Help cut through the clutter and confusion of what's out there. Today's event, if you've joined our last couple of webinars, and I am seeing some familiar names in here, we started with why you might need a project portfolio management solution with our October webinar. We can send you some links if you'd like to go back and see those if you missed them. Then we discussed how to build a business case for PPM in our most recent one. Today's discussion, some considerations as you enter the next phase of your PPM evaluation, what might need to be on that checklist. Next slide, we'll cover a few logistics here. The webinar everyone is on mute in case you haven't noticed. So if you want to keep your Christmas tunes rolling in the background, it won't bother anyone else. So go ahead with that. Or if you're wrapping presents, that's okay too. If you want to contribute to the session, enter those comments or questions into the chat or the Q&A box there. We'll be monitoring both. You can enter them in as you go along, but we will address any questions toward the end of the event. We're targeting a 1-hour session. 45 minutes of that will be presentation, and 15 minutes we'll take care of any of those questions that might be there. If you're having audio issues, use the phone that came in email. I know you can't hear me, but if I sound like I'm underwater, sorry, I do have a little bit of cold, but if I sound super laggy or talking extra fast, then try the phone audio or just log out and log back in, should solve most of that. Again, the slides and recording will be available after the event. So if you want to access this again, if you want to share with your colleagues, that's a-okay with us. Use it as you please. And once again, enter any questions into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen there, and we will address any questions. My name is Lindsay Marymont. I'm on the marketing team here at Keyden, and I'm joined by my colleague, Danny Gans. Danny is leading our discussion on what should be on your PPM checklist. Danny is a very experienced PPM expert. He works directly with customers and PMO leaders on evaluating and how to implement their software for maximum benefit. In his role as I mentioned, we covered this in depth in previous sessions, so you can access the recordings if you want to get further into that. But today we'll just quickly touch on it and recap. Then we'll talk about how your requirements and checklist aligns to the business, very important, keeping your eye on the prize and looking at the bigger picture. Then we'll talk about some common pitfalls. Don't want to fall into those. Danny will tell us all about that and some of the things he's seen. Hopefully some learnings you can walk away with from others' mistakes. And finally, we'll talk through the list of functional requirements that you might need to take a look at and consider. And here at Keyden, of course, we are a software vendor, so we'll be using our software as a primary example of some of these, but this event specifically is not intended to push Keyden in particular, rather provide examples of the specific areas we'll be talking through. And of course, if you'd like to learn more about Keyden, how it works and what it does, some of the things we're talking about specifically, you can absolutely schedule time offline to go through that with a sales professional or with Danny himself, but that, of course, is not the focus of today's event, just to clear some of that up. And with that, I will pass it on over to Danny.
All right, thank you so much, Lindsay, and thank you all for joining today. My name is Danny Gans, as Lindsay mentioned. I'm going to be spending the next portion of your day walking you through our holiday gift guide for PPM. We're trying to have a little bit of fun with this webinar. I apologize for any puns that might be made or overdoing any references to the holidays. I'm going to make sure to leave plenty of time for questions at the end, but as Lindsay mentioned, if you have questions, just feel free to send them in at any time, or if you'd just like to, chat, drop us a line. We'll try our best to address any questions that come in during the course of the session. If not, we'll be able to address them afterwards. And if we don't manage to answer all the questions today, we'd be happy to schedule time with each of you individually to go into greater depth. And now, just to break down sort of the process for you today, we have checked and confirmed that none of you have been naughty. So we're going to help you make your list, check it twice, and get going on a search for a PPM solution. So first question, why are we here? So what are the common reasons people might be in the market for a PPM tool? You're probably not shopping for PPM because of a Black Friday sale or because it's a lot of fun, although some of us do find it a lot of fun. Maybe you're just starting out your PMO and everyone's coming to you with requests. They're voicing frustrations and challenges that they'd like to solve in the new year. Perhaps you're formalizing your processes because you've realized things can get out of hand quickly without a tool. So you're trying to mature your processes and think ahead, get ahead of problems in the new year. You might already have a solution in place, but you're shopping around again because maybe you didn't get it right the first time. Maybe you didn't have all of your requirements in place, or maybe you've just grown and it's time for a new tool. You want to do it better this time than you did in the past. In any case, they're all great reasons to go out and look for a PPM tool. And we are going to discuss the search with you right now. So as we heard, some of you were on the last webinar where, if you recall, we focused on building the business case for PPM. And in that discussion, we really identified and focused on these three core roles that need to support the initiative. You need to build your business case towards the leadership, the CIO, executive management. You also need to keep in mind your PMO leadership, and then also project managers. Those are the main people you need to achieve buy-in from. Why the leadership is thinking about digital transformation, what is going to build that case for them? What maybe you're looking to identify new revenue opportunities or operational costs, better forecasting, healthier projects. PMs are on the other end just looking to get their projects done, making things easier for them and the team. But when we think about going shopping for a tool, you really need to bring a whole lot more people in for consideration. Resource managers, finance department, business analysts, developers, even contractors, they all might be involved in using the tool or working with outputs or contributing to the tool. And they're all going to have their own set of requirements. They might have their own frustrations. They might have challenges with the current status quo. And you're going to want to listen to them as you search so that you make sure that you have the support from across the organization. If you want successful adoption, you're going to need to listen to them and make sure that their needs are addressed. Keep in mind that while some are going to embrace the search and really look forward to the new tool in your enterprise software arsenal, there's going to be some that push back. They're going to be suspicious of why you're getting this new tool. They might resist the implied oversight. So make sure you think about how you can articulate the benefits to each of those people. Get in front of that before they barrage you with complaints about why you're looking into their time, making them track time. Explain to them the benefits of such a system that will help identify when they're overloaded, so that they have a more balanced work life in the coming year. with so many of those people, so many voices coming from so many directions, it's a little bit overwhelming. If you're not careful, you can burn yourself out like our Santa here, a poor guy. Um, so today we're going to try to work on communicating a step-by-step approach, making sure that we always keep in mind to prioritize the need to have over the nice to have, and understanding that really no solution is ever going to do everything you're looking for exactly how you'd like it to. So start with those top priorities, make sure those are addressed, and keep an open mind to adjusting your assumptions as you go. All right, so categorizing your requirements is important. We want to make sure that all of these requirements are really tightly aligned with your business need. And you want to uncover not only the desired capability, but also keep in mind what the impact of that capability is. So you want better resource management, but why? What's that going to give you? Not only will that help you think through your requirements, but it will also help you articulate the value across the organization. So start with the goals you're trying to achieve, work backwards. There could be multiple ways to get there. There could be one piece of functionality that can address multiple problems. And if you're unclear of your goals from the start, your search could miss the target. So really spend some time on defining your needs. What specifically is driving you to undertake this search? What do you expect to gain from a successful implementation? So accurately capturing these business drivers and expected outcomes is going to be essential to your success. Some business drivers you might want to keep in mind is the ability to prioritize your projects based on your specific business requirements, your strategic goals. You might want to improve your capacity planning and resource optimization. Make sure that your strategy is executed and aligned better than currently. And accurate financial tracking of your projects and portfolios. And you're going to probably want some increased visibility into the work and accountability from the team. These can benefit by giving you increased profits or cost savings. Make sure that you're working on the right projects, you're spending in the right areas. Make sure that your resources are allocated better, and really just making sure that the quality of the projects delivered is higher, and you're reducing the number of failed projects in the organization. All right, so let's go shopping. So before we get into our list of what we should look for, we want to identify a couple common pitfalls to keep you off that naughty list and make sure that you don't end up with a stocking full of coal. First off, don't confuse methodology, or don't use methodology as your top criteria. It can really limit yourself. Sort of trends change, and methodologies that are in favor today might not be tomorrow. So just keep in mind the functionality you're looking for, and have the flexibility to understand that can be addressed in a number of ways. You might want both top-down planning, bottom-up planning. You might want agile. You might want waterfall. Many solutions can address all of these. Oftentimes, some have found that the best approach is to take a sort of a best-in-breed look at their tools, and get an agile tool for their development shop that integrates with a waterfall tool for their traditional projects and portfolio management and reporting. So don't let methodology sort of box you in. Don't let the software dictate your business. Never rewrite your business processes to align to a tool. You want to find a tool that's configurable so that you can have it adapt to you rather than having to adapt to it. That never works well. One caution is you do want the tool to have some structure, You don't want a tool that's just sort of a blank sheet of paper. There are some tools out there that their approach is, we'll build it for you. What's your process? And that is a bit overwhelming. So, look for a tool that has the core components and framework for project portfolio management in place, but that can be tailored to the way that you operate. Don't go for the big bang. This is true of any software. I can't stress this enough. You're not going to get everything right straight out of the gate. Start with your must-haves, deploy that as phase one, and add from there. Depending on your organizational maturity, there might be different guidelines. You might have more of your processes defined, but it will always be a good idea to phase the rollout so that you can adjust to the inevitable mistakes that you're going to make. And also give your users time to settle in and get comfortable. These changes can be overwhelming, so take it step by step. One guideline that I like to recommend is that if you're rolling out a PPM solution, you're planning an integration, maybe keep that integration very simple up front, or keep that for a phase two. Start off with manually integrate until your processes stabilize and your assumptions can be confirmed, because that can often be a real challenge to go in and sort of re-engineer integrations once you change your processes. Don't trade your governance for agility. Don't confuse one for the other. Just because you're considering going agile, that doesn't mean you throw out all governance. You need a healthy mix of both. And in the same way, don't over-engineer your processes. You have to find the right balance, and it's always important to understand your needs and where the balance point is. And then finally, no regifting. Don't just use what's in the organization. Don't cobble solutions together from your existing tech stack. Don't let your IT department convince you that something that they have a handful of licenses for, or an enterprise agreement, could be suitable for your needs. Again, this rarely works out. And if you're going to do this, you want to do it right. One final thing to mention here, and again, this is true of any software search, ensure right from the beginning that you have executive support and sponsorship for your search. There's nothing that's more frustrating than embarking on a large-scale search for a tool, maybe going through an entire RFP process, looking through a number of vendor demos and maybe even a trial, only to get to the point of purchase and procurement and find out that someone on the other side of the organization has also been doing a search, and theirs is going to take priority, or you're going to be mandated to use a tool that the CIO has already selected. So just make sure that you've got that support up front. It'll make everything smoother. Okay, let's make our list, and we're going to check this. We're going to keep. I almost sang the whole song there. It's just tempting to do that. So we're going to categorize our list of requirements into the following functional areas: portfolio management, project planning and execution, resource management, work management, financial management, reporting and analytics, role-based access control, usability, and security. There can be many more, but this should be a good core to help you structure your search. And so we'll just go ahead and walk through some of these for you. So portfolio management. It's going to provide you the visibility across your organization so that you can make sound decisions and have a strategic impact on the business. So the solution needs to select and prioritize projects based on your specific strategic goals, to keep in mind your resource capability and capacity, your financial constraints, and by making sure that you're aligning those projects with your strategic objectives from the beginning, you can make sure that you're investing your resources into projects that support your business goals. It's a living practice. Portfolio management is ongoing, so you have to to not only have a tool that will allow you to sort of structure the intake and selection, the prioritization based on maybe your defined scoring model and be able to adjust that. But you also need to have a tool that will be able to constantly and actively monitor the portfolio. So control and periodic evaluation should be built into your practice and supported by your tool as well, including the ability to model scenarios and do some what if analysis because things are going to change and you're going to need to make decisions on the fly. So you'll need to be able to do some scenario modeling. And also, you're going to want a tool that is flexible to take different slices of your portfolio on the whole and do analysis on it. You might have a primary defined hierarchy that is going to define your portfolio structure. Maybe that's aligned organizational structure or geography. Every company does this a little bit differently, but you always want the flexibility to cut across that, and that can be challenging. So make sure the tool that you're looking at supports breaking free of the fixed portfolio hierarchy and allowing you to say, yeah, I know that I am structuring my portfolio by department and org structure, but I also today want to see a slice of the portfolio that is going on, the projects that are in APAC, regardless of what department they're in, and started in the first half of this year. And I want to build an ad hoc portfolio based on any mix of criteria and do portfolio analysis on it, because that is important. So make sure that you can slice and dice your portfolio in real time and do some analysis. Okay, so you need to also be able to do project planning. So the tool needs to allow you to schedule the project, get an understanding of the needs in terms of resources and dollars. One of the most common points of failure in project delivery is missed deadlines. And at the root of that is a poor understanding of what it takes to schedule accurately. An overly optimistic schedule can lead to unrealistic expectations and sink a project before it even starts. So without a tool that creates an accurate historical record of everything that's involved in delivering what you're trying to do, you can lead to a cycle of overpromising and under-delivering. So you want to be able to not only flexibly schedule the project, but also learn from scheduling from completed projects so that you can adjust and confirm or adapt your assumptions. The tool should definitely support templatized project creation. I mean, we'll always want to be able to spin up a quick project from scratch on an ad hoc basis, but most companies and teams have some work that's repeatable and common. So make sure that the tool can allow you to streamline spinning up those projects by saying, this is something that we do on a regular basis. I want to build this as a template and leverage and the standardization that we want to enforce, because it'll lead to increased efficiency and success. And again, leverage what you're learning from past projects. You'll want to consider a tool that allows you to plan and schedule both top down or bottom up. So your bottom up planning is going to be your traditional work breakdown structure, detailed Gantt chart, tasks, subtasks, dependencies, extremely granular. And what many of you have probably found is that when you're at the beginning of planning a project, that can really hold you back because there's too many unknowns when you're getting started to build out that project to a level of granularity that a tool might require. So you might only know the types of roles that will be involved in the project with approximate time that they'll be contributing to the project. You might know the key milestones for the project, and you want to be able to plan with that not let it hold you back, and also allow that to leverage the other areas of the tool. So your resource and making granularity, and also some sort of broad brush stroke assumptions. For more mature organizations, you're going to want support for enforcing project governance through defined life cycles and project workflows that can automate along with the project in a centralized location. You need to refer back to it can be housed alongside the project. You want to be able to collaborate in real time with the project team. You want to be able to track deliverables and high-level milestones, and generate status reports with ease. A lot of companies have a need for a weekly or monthly status report where PMs have to fill out a template with project information. They're pulling it from a number of systems and running up to people's desks and asking them for status. That is an extremely frustrating experience for those people responsible for the reports. And it's also just a huge waste of time. So look for a tool that can automate status reports and just pull the data that you'd want included in that report directly from the system, so that you can generate status reports at the touch of a button. You're going to want to consider integration with other tools in execution. We see integration with agile tools quite often. It is not uncommon at all for them tightly and not want to, or other agile, great, let them work how they want to work, and find a tool that can pull in their project work and updates from another tool and inform the project on the whole and the portfolio reporting. Again, billing, just other things that could be involved. You want to be able to capture billing information and invoicing if you are doing billing and invoicing. Any project approvals, be able to monitor financials, the resources, ensure that you can report on your project, so that project data you have from those programs roll into portfolios. Make sure that throughout the execution, you can track the progress and associated project documents and risks at any level of the hierarchy, so that you can bring your portfolio in on time and on budget. Okay, so resource management is crucial. You're gonna proper resource management can make or break your organization. Balancing the capacity of your people against the demand of your projects, and accurately forecasting and supplying available and skilled resources is not only essential to delivering successful projects, but it's also going to keep your workforce from burning out. But it's really, really hard. So really look for a tool that is going to centralize the inventory of resource data. Things like skills, rates, location, working calendars and time off, department roles, so that you can search, you can query your resources and identify the right people for the work that you need to plan based on any of those, any combination of the attributes that you're capturing. You want the flexibility to be able to plan your resources based on role-based placeholders until you know, yes, we're going to do this, and I'm going to use this specific resource. You want to be able to use roles in place. You want to be able to use named resources, and you want to be able to combine them easily. based on the level of detail that you've got and where you are in the planning or execution of the project. You need to know what your people are working on. You need to be able to make sure that you're not overloading them or underloading them. And you'll want to be able to measure your forecast accuracy so that you can continuously improve and learn from both your past mistakes and your past successes. So as a team member, just simply knowing what you're supposed to do on a given day is often unnecessarily difficult. So having a centralized location to help you manage your work, know what you're supposed to do, collaborate with your team in the context of that work, share documents, submit requests, and capture risks and issues is incredibly important. Streamlining the engagement of your team with the work is going to reap huge dividends. You're going to want to make it very easy for these people to not only know what they're working on, but also update progress, enter their time and expense to accurately capture actuals and feed into your projects. So get everything on a single sheet of music and make sure that the updates from the team are centralized so that the information is timely and accurate when it comes time to evaluate status or generate reports. You'll want to be able to track financials for your project, so costs. You'll want to consider things like multi-currency. You're going to want to be able to forecast budget, not only for projects, but portfolios, and then measure your actuals against that budget. So ensure that your tool can give you the right level of financial analysis, so that you're making right decisions. You understand where potential budget overruns exist, and they can be addressed up front. Make sure that you consider the budget that's given to you when selecting projects. You don't want to set yourself up for failure by taking on too much. So make sure that the financial information that is associated with your PMO is able to be captured and leveraged in making selections. Your tool's got to provide the visibility into your data to help you run your business. You're going to need the power of a reporting engine with the flexibility to tailor that reporting engine to create reports to your unique needs. All tools are going to offer you a set of out-of-the-box reports, but just make sure that you're able to adjust those or create new reports from scratch. So whether you're looking at just an individual project status report or a roll-up of portfolio data, the tool needs to be able to quickly and accurately provide you with the insight you need to run your business successfully. You might also want to consider whether the tool has an API for integrating your data with BI tools for your advanced reporting needs. You might want to share and extract project and portfolio data with other solutions. So that's an important consideration. And then think about things like, scheduling reports. Are you able to schedule reports distributed on a defined cadence to specific recipients? A lot of times we see executives don't like to log into every system that they're using. So, sending out a weekly report automatically to them from the system, it can be really helpful in getting the right information in front of the right people. We also want to be able to collect reports into dashboards. These dashboards should be able to be tailored by the role that people play in the organization, so that when you come in, you can see a consolidated view of the data that's most important to you. Role-based access, this is gonna blend into the next topic, which is usability. But role-based access is important not only for controlling what people can do, ensuring that people can only see what they want to see and do what they want see what you want them to see and do what you want them to do. So that's security and permissions, but also lead to usability. You want to make sure that when people come into the tool, based on their role, they are seeing what is relevant to them. So maybe a CIO, you want to sort of direct their access to a dashboard and configure that dashboard for a mobile tablet, because you know that your CIO moves, interfaces with the tool using their tablet. Ensure that the access to the features in the system are limited to what you're going to need to do. Maybe a team member who's only working with the tool to enter time and expense data, you don't need to bog them down with unnecessary functionality that can confuse them. Create a single screen for them to hit when they log in so that they can enter their time. So role-based access is essential to not only the security and permission structure, but also the usability. So usability in my mind is the one of the most crucial, if not the most crucial thing we're going to talk about. The number one indicator of success with respect to software is adoption. If you've got adoption and people are using your tools, it's going to be successful. If people don't like the experience they have when they log into the tool, they're not going to use it, and it's going to become shelfware. Without complete and timely data from all of your users, the output is really worthless. Reports can be generated with, in some cases, dangerously misleading information, and your decision making can be detrimentally impacted. So you want to make sure that not only is that role-based access directed to help you guide you into the system and limit what you can do in the system to the things that you're going to need to do, but things like proactive notification, so you don't have to live in the tool. If something needs to be done, let the system notify you. Make sure that your workflows can be tailored so that the system helps to guide you through the work that needs to be done. Mobile access, so that your team can work when they're away from their desk. And then being able to personalize software is a key factor in adoption. If people are allowed to tailor the tools that they use to the way that they work, they're going to be happier and use the tool more. So make sure that the tools support personalization, but also keep in mind that you don't want your users to completely run rampant and make all the changes. You want to be able to give them just the right amount of personalization. Finally, I consider the administrator's usability to be important as well. You want the process of configuration and administration to be a good user experience or admin experience. So changes should be able to be made easily without disrupting the business and without the need to re-engage in a costly services engagement or hire contractors because the burden of administration is overly complex. And then finally, security. We could go into the weeds here, and trust me, your InfoSec will. But the point here is make sure the tool that you're working with is fully vetted and secure, or it will not be accepted into your stack. You've got to evaluate security from the application, the database, the network infrastructure. Make sure that the reliability of the hosting provider supports high performance and availability. Make sure that all relevant standards are met and compliance is in place. Consider the backup and disaster recovery, and really just, you probably have a team that has a list of requirements in this case, but you basically want to just make sure that you're not engaging with a tool that would put any of your data at risk. Okay, so I promised that not only would we make the list, but check it twice. So here is our checking it twice. Uh, the list of what we discussed today. I want to, did we get it all? If any of you have thoughts of things that should be considered that weren't, again, please just contribute it into. You can use the Q&A to contribute it. Also, another reminder: if you have questions, we are going to be taking questions in just a moment. After we wrap up, just so in summary, PPM can really help your business and have significant impact on your organization, but it's really important that your tool is aligned to your requirements. And it's really important that those requirements are properly understood and defined and accurate before you search for a solution. Getting those requirements right is essential, and getting the requirements from all people in your organization is going to help you get them right. So reach out to everyone, and we will have a happy workforce. Keep your must-haves versus the nice-to-haves separate so that you can make a realistic choice. You're never, as we mentioned, you're never going to find a tool that does exactly everything. So make sure you know the must-haves and make sure the tool can address those. Also, make sure you know what your phase one must-haves are when you're searching for or when you're deciding to implement a tool versus the nice-to-haves that could be added as a phase two, so that you can keep the deployment simple and get your users in there adopting the tool. And lastly, have fun. It's kind of fun to do these searches and to learn about tools. We would love to hear from you and help you have fun in this search. So if you have the desire to, let us know. We've got I believe we have a poll question right now that's going to ask you if you'd like to speak to us, and we'd love to hear from you. So, Lindsay?
Yeah, definitely. So I know we covered a lot of information here and a lot of topics, but believe me, we could go a lot further in depth if you want to see more in a particular area, or certain things that we didn't cover that might be applicable to you and not to the masses. We'd be happy to look into those further and go into that. So we'll leave the poll up for just another minute here while we let people answer, and let us know if you want to talk further and hear more in a customized demonstration. So let us know if you want to talk now, not quite ready yet, or just here for the fun holiday festivity webinar. That's okay too. We get asked a lot, the slides and recording. Thanks, Ron, for reminding me again to remind everyone. The slides and recording will be sent out to everybody after the event. If you don't see them, check your junk or spam folders. And if they're in there, please add us to your safe sender list. We'll be sending out a lot more stuff similar to this type of content. We like doing stuff like this. So we keep an eye out for it and make sure that we're added to your list so we make it to your inbox. If you are interested, we did get a question about the previous webinars that we mentioned. I will go ahead and drop some links in there for you guys if you want to take a look at those, refer back to some older, more in depth from October and November, how we talked through the why you need PPM, and then how to build a business case. So if you check the chat box, there'll be some links for those in there. And we'll go ahead and close that poll down. For anyone that is interested, we do have our next webinar is in January. We are featuring a Forrester analyst, Margot Visitation, the primary analyst for PPM from Forrester. She will be guest presenting on a webinar for us in January. It'll be on the 22nd. We're still, oh, thanks, Courtney, dropping the we'll drop that link in there too, just in case you want to register for the upcoming webinar, hear about Agile in the new year. She'll be talking through what PMO should be doing in 2020 and how to become more Agile. If that is something you're interested in, go ahead and click that last link in the chat box and you can go ahead and register. Again, that's Marga Visitation from Forrester will be presenting. And with that, we'll move into some Q&A. Oh, you can leave it on the holiday. Happy holidays from Q inside. Very good, Danny.
It's automatically transitioning for me.
Yeah. We did get a couple questions in the chat box. And again, if you have some more, we do have a couple minutes to address those. The first question we got, how long does it take to get implemented?
Okay, so that is a
trick
question that we get. Yeah, it's a loaded question. We get that a lot, and the answer is it depends. We can get people up and running in a matter of weeks. We can and consider the phased rollout. We want to not only get you up and running quickly, we want to deliver you just the set of functionality that's necessary for the phase one. So typically 1 to 3 months we can get that phase one rolled out, but everyone has different requirements, and oftentimes the number one driver of the timeline is going to be the customer's availability to work with us on this. We've got a team in-house that can get you up and running very quickly, but it oftentimes it's going to be dependent on the customer's availability and the number of people they can dedicate to getting this up and running. And that's true of not only Keyed, but also really any vendor that you work with. If anyone tells you you'll be ready in a week, be really, really cautious and concerned. If anyone says it's going to take 6 months, again, that's probably overkill.
Excellent. Thanks, Danny. There was a question in here or a comment. Please talk about change orders management. I'm guessing this is how they get managed within Keyed.
Yeah, so I might want to take that one offline. This is one of the things that change orders are an integral part of project management, but people sometimes define their needs in different ways. And as I was saying earlier, the system really needs to be able to be configured to meet customers where they're at and how they want to work. You want to make sure that a tool is able to capture and manage change orders, but how exactly that's done is probably a conversation that we could have after this.
Excellent. Perfect. There's another one that came in. If I understand correctly, these were a list of functional requirements. Do you have a recommendation for non-functional requirement list? Anything off the top of your head that comes to mind?
Yeah, so we did discuss a list of functional requirements, but really this whole session, we touched on a number of non-functional requirements that you need to keep in mind that will be coming from your user community, and then also considerations that you might want to make about the tool. So I do not have a list at hand right now, but I'd be happy to work on one and distribute that out, or if you'd like to hop on a call, we can talk through those at any time.
Perfect. How do you, as a PPM vendor, support the adoption of the tool across the organization?
Yeah, great question. So that goes back to making sure that you understand upfront who's going to be using it, and you configure the tool specifically to those people so that they can efficiently and effectively do their job and they have a pleasant user experience. Making sure that the role, the experience is aligned to the specific role, that you take into account the desires of the people that are going to be using the system, that you listen to the challenges that are currently being faced and find out how the tool can be configured to um, overcome those. And we've got Keyed has an in-house services team that has done this many, many times. So they do have a library of best practices that we will help you um, follow that will best ensure a successful adoption. And again, one of those that I always recommend is ensuring that the rollout is not big bang, so that your people can get familiar and comfortable with the system with the functionality that's essential up front, but you're not overwhelming them and overloading them with too much to learn, too much process right out of the gate.
Definitely. And lots of training as we go along, and updates, keeping
Yes,
people
thank you.
Mhm.
Training is also essential. Thank you. Making sure
I hear
people
that one
know
a lot.
how to use the tool.
Um, oh, there was a follow-on comment. Distribute the list of non-functional requirements. Yes, we definitely can. Maybe we can add it into the follow-up email or something. But oftentimes those non-functional requirements vary depending on the rollout and the use case. So we can share with you some of the common ones that we come across. But of course, um, they'll probably have to be modified for your unique instance. One more question that came in. What are your strengths from a software perspective? Do you want to touch on just a couple of the things that that we do particularly well?
Yeah, sure. So again, I'm a UX guy. So right up front, I'll say usability. I think that being able to configure an experience that is aligned to the user role and what they need to do, so that as much of what they need to do can be done on a single screen if possible, is just a really, really important. I think we do that really well. Um, I also think that resource management and capacity planning is a huge strength of Keyed. Um, it's, as I mentioned, it's really hard to do. There's a lot of complexity to managing organizational resources and ensuring that you're um, able to gauge capacity and understand your the supply and demand available for your projects. So I think Keaton does that very, very well. Um, and I also think that from a portfolio perspective, we do have a great way to do portfolio analysis, not only for scenario modeling, for selection and monitoring of the portfolio, but also for reporting across the organization. So reporting at the portfolio or program level, or being able to slice the portfolio in any number of uh, ways that you might want to, so that you can do analysis on the fly. We do that very well. I could go on and on and on. I think we do a lot of things very well, which is why I like working with Keyed, and I'd love to teach you all more about it.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Danny. It looks like that's all the questions that came in. We definitely want to wish everyone happy holidays from us here at Keyed. Wish you all a wonderful time. Hope you get a little bit of break, and we will talk to everyone in the new year. Thank you so much for joining today, and have a great rest of your day and holiday.